Well, the Budget Justice Coalition expressed deep concerns regarding the reports on the impending budget cuts on the basic education. And the Education Minister, Steve Viwe says the education sector is facing a financial crisis and under to discuss the issue, we have a teacher, a very passionate secondary teacher, Mr. Michael Lechela. Mr. Michael, good evening.
Mike, good evening. Welcome.
Hey, good evening, KG. How's it?
Well, we are good, thanks.
We're great. How are you, sir?
Good. Thank you, guys. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah. Well, let's straight jump into it, Michael. What was your initial reaction hearing about these budget cuts?
The first thing I did was look at the reasons first. Why? What were the reasons that were cited by the minister? And I think she mentioned two things that stood out for me. The one thing that she mentioned was the fiscal mismanagement by the whole across government. So it means now that the money has been misused, thus resulting to a lot of departments in government having to have their budgets cut. And unfortunately, education being a critical sector, unfortunately also has to suffer like many other departments. Now, what we should be asking ourselves is, why is this happening now, guys? Why is this happening now? I think it's been coming. It's been long coming. I think it's been long coming because I mean we've had Guptas, if you remember, money being misused, government people. Yeah, it's been coming. So government being money being misused. So unfortunately, we are suffering as the grass because the elephants are treading on us. All right. And then the second thing that she mentioned was the economic stagnation. So unfortunately, our economy is not growing. And there's a lot of reasons for that. You know, I mean, we have learners now in school who most are going, if you check in our education system, if you've seen the decline in learners taking mathematics, learners going for those difficult subjects, who just want easy things, right? And unfortunately, when that happens, we are going to suffer because now everyone is going to want to go for the same jobs. And unfortunately, the economy will not grow that way. That's why I think one of the solutions really should be entrepreneurship, right? Instead of us, I mean, I heard you, KG, talk about pick and pay people, right? Job cuts. Instead of us now going and looking for jobs, the best solution is to create jobs, you see. The same is happening in China. In China, the reason why the economy of China is growing so much is because the people there are taught how to create jobs. They taught how to create products that will have. I mean, you've got your Temus, your in other countries now. You've got your Shein. The people are just creating things. Their products are marketed there. But for us here, we are going for these jobs that you have to apply for a job. No one is creating these jobs, so our economy will not grow, KG. So now, obviously, if the economy is not growing, the fiscus comes from mainly from tax. If we don't have production, the tax will decline. You see, we don't have income into the fiscus. So we need people to be creating jobs so that the government may be able to also have money that comes in so that the government may spend that money where it is needed. So now, unfortunately, in the education space, what that does for us in the education space is if budgets are being cut, that means now, which we have seen now in the Western Cape, teacher jobs might be cut. Posts have been halted. Apparently, it's now happening in the Western Cape. And as the minister put it, it will it might go to other provinces soon, right? Yeah. Now, unfortunately, also what this means is things like LTSM, books, stationery will have to be cut because budgets are getting cut, and the budget comes with those things. It's not just teacher salaries. You've got books that are going to be cut now. You've got, as we've seen, you get support staff like admins. You find in a school, instead of having two now, they will say have one, which is what is happening in my school. You see, now and what does that mean? It means now for the teacher will not be able to do what they are hired to do, which is to teach. In teaching, we have to do lesson plans and all of that stuff and focus on teaching in class. Unfortunately, what we find ourselves doing now is we are doing even the job of the admin because the admin is so inundated with work. You see, they can't cope because so much is expected of them. So you find now a teacher is doing copies for themselves. A teacher has to go and do things that are supposed to be done by the admin staff. So we are suffering. And ultimately, who suffers when that happens? It's not just us. It is the learners. The same people that are supposed to grow this economy to where we want it to be. You see, if we are not focusing on those learners, because now we need to give them quality education so that they may be able to go out into the economy and have a great turnaround in this economy and give us the results that we desire of this economy. So if they get neglected, unfortunately, I may sound like a prophet of doom. Unfortunately, the country will not get anywhere. You see, so it's truly a vicious cycle, a cycle that will. I don't know what is needed for us to have a solution to. You see, so the issues is of money. I don't know if I'm clear there.
Yeah, you are clear. And I was about to ask on the quality of, the education that now teachers are going to be doing a lot of admin and now they need to also produce results. It's kind of a bit unfair in a sense that even the past weekend on Saturday, we were celebrating World Teachers Day and the president and the minister were out there giving out keynote speakers and saying that you are the light of this world. You're doing change within our community. But the very same people that are the light in the community, you're not providing, equitable and, resources that are going to help them to make sure that they produce these results. What are your thoughts around, World Teachers Day and also the sentiments of, do you think that teachers are being appreciated for the job that they're doing?
Come on. I mean, I think as a teacher, I'm a high school teacher. I teach one of the most feared subjects currently, right, which is accounting. Accounting numbers are dropping because our kids these days don't want anything to do with numbers. They just want easy things, right? So for us to get them to the level of passing, it means now we have to be spending days and nights at school to make sure that they get to the standard that is required, right? Now, with all of that happening and us producing results in high schools, I work for the district that is #1 in the country. So we are the hardest working district, that is Johannesburg West, the hardest working district. Now, with all that happening, when we produce these results, trust me, the only thing I wish I had brought it here with me. The only thing we get is an A4 certificate that says, thank you for making the district #1. You see what I'm saying? But because we know that this is a calling, it doesn't bother us much, right? Where we get the greatest satisfaction is when a learner comes back and says, sir, look, regardless of the circumstances I was facing, I'm now enrolled for a bachelor's of accounting sciences. I'm now doing engineering. Say, look at me, I've now graduated. I'm now driving a car from staying Komikukungu Ezimbuzini. Now say I'm staying in wherever. And if you know, that is the reward that we get as teachers. And that's the satisfaction that we get, you see. So when the World Teachers Day, yes, they are there to make you guys remember that there are teachers out there that are doing something. But in the, I mean, look at it, look at it. When was World Teachers Day? It was on a Saturday. We as teachers didn't get to celebrate it.
Yes.
Yeah, it was on a Saturday,
Yeah.
you know. So as teachers, we we
At
never
work.
really, yeah, we were not at work. So it was just a few of us who teach metric that were at work who were like, hey, teacher, happy World Teachers Day. But yeah, it's a challenge that we are facing as teachers.
Yeah. You know, Michael, I know that teachers need support from literally everyone. So teachers need support from the community. Teachers need support from the parents. How can you encourage parents, or what do you think the community can do and the parents do to assist teachers?
From the parent side, right? I've looked at the bulk of the kids that are giving us great results. I mean, we've had kids that give us about 7 out of 7 distinctions. And what I've noticed is the parents of those kids understand that school alone is not enough. You can't be expecting your child to do well if your child comes back from school, watches TV all day. Your child is I mean, in South Africa, we have this, you know, kids love soccer. You know, they will go and boys will go and play soccer. When they come back from soccer, they're tired.
True.
Yeah, they're tired. And when they're tired, obviously the book will just make them a bit worse. They go on social media, you know. So what we need is, look, we need to keep a balance, but we need parents to be actively involved in their kids' learning. We need parents to, we need the sort of parents that will sit with their child and say, my child, let's see what you're doing now. Let's see your timetable, your study timetable. Are you complying to that study timetable? We need parents who will communicate with us as teachers and understand where their kids are in terms of learning so that we can assist them. That's what we need. We don't want parents, may I be blunt here, we don't want parents that drink, mother is drinking, father is drinking, grandfather is drinking. Obviously, the child will think that's culture. Okay? The child will also drink every day. You see what I'm saying? We want, rather, you know, if you're a drinking family, rather do it in secret where your kids don't see, because monkey see, monkey do, hey? So, because now the struggle we're having is these kids on weekends these days, when they're supposed to be in class, and remember in matriculants, we expect them to be in class Monday to Monday because, you know, the standard is high. So it becomes challenging for them because they suffer well to go and have drinks as others do out there, you know. So we need parents to help us in that regard and make sure that their kids, make their kids understand the importance of education. Also help us in making their kids understand that we, you know, in education, there's a principle that it says in loco parentis, meaning when we are in school, we are the kids' parents. So the kids also need to understand that we are their parents and they should respect us and not. I heard you talk of a story of a teacher that was on.
Yeah, that was wrestling with Elena.
Wrestling. Yeah, doing a choke slam on
guys.
a land.
Yeah, no one is safe in the classroom. Not the teacher, not the child.
Ba sharp, so we have to do this. Unfortunately, there isn't much I mean, the same is expected when you work in Pick and Pay, right? The same is expected of you that when a customer says something, you must just keep quiet. The customer is always right. When you're a policeman, even if they say you are a useless cop, you can't pull out a gun on them. You have to. So unfortunately, we, being the ones who are offering the service, are often at the receiving end of injustice, ill treatment, and all these things, you know. So it's tough for us. It really is tough for us as teachers. But like I said, the only thing that drives us is that thing of knowing that this is a calling, the fire that burns within us, to say, if someone doesn't do it, KG, you will be at the robots, and that guy who I did an injustice to will be standing there and pulling a gun on you and asking for your car. Now, what are we doing in class? We are removing them from the robots. We are directing them to university. We're directing them to companies. We are directing them to entrepreneurship. You see, so that's our bit that we do for this country.
A lot that you guys go through. I can imagine, you know, being, I don't know how to explain it in English, you know, being faced by a learner there, and you just need to just continue like nothing has happened. And, you know, so what are the other disciplinary measures that you guys need to put in place in case such incidences happen?
You know, KG, I always say discipline is not punishment. You know, for me, our school starts in grade 10. For me, the kids I can easily manage are the kids that I find in grade 10. You know, they go up with me. I teach them from grade 10. I teach them. I teach them while they and you teach them. You give them a high work ethic. They need to understand that in high school we work at a certain level. So you put that in them. So they end up having a discipline within themselves to say they become disciplined learners. They don't need to be punished to read that discipline. If you are disciplined, you know you come to school at a certain time. If you're disciplined, you know that you have to do your work. If you're disciplined, you know that you don't speak to your teachers in a certain manner, you know? So discipline then it becomes inherent. So that's what we need, but what we also need from parents to help us. If you teach a child as alumni, when they grow up, they will continue with those principles that you've instilled in them. Although yes, there will be forces from outside that try and teach them otherwise, but you as a parent, if you put that deeply in them, they will always come back to the path that you've put them in. You know, so that's how I perceive discipline. Teach a child, they will always do right.
Well, speaking of discipline, Michael, are you guys well trained as teachers to deal with psychological issues and social issues? Because it sounds like it's a lot of work. You know, a teacher now becomes a social worker, a psychologist, because for a learner to be problematic, there's something deep within, either in the heart or the mind of that learner, for him or her to behave in that way. Are you guys well equipped and well trained to deal with that? Or do you guys need assistance? Maybe have a psychologist in school or a social worker of some sort that's present almost every day to deal with such issues, because it sounds like it's a lot of work. Now you need to, I mean, if a learner is problematic, now your focus is moved away from the lesson completely, right? It's quite a lot. Are you guys well trained to deal with that, or do you guys need help?
To tell you the
in
truth,
school, because you know why I'm asking. Sorry, because sometimes even the parent cannot, because when you look at the situation, maybe the parent has an alcoholic problem or a drug problem, and you can just see that it's futile to even involve a parent in the issue, though you do, but it's sort of futile. So are you guys well equipped to deal with so much?
Generally, I would say no. Generally, right? Because when you go to different schools, you find certain teachers who are somewhat equipped in that, but it wouldn't be the system that teaches them. It's your, sort of your personality, your character, the things that you've learned growing up. You know what I'm saying? In the education space, you may have. I remember when I was studying, I had one module that looked at such things such as behavior and one module, right? And I can't say that that, and you know, at university we learn to pass at university. You just want to go to the next. What? So I think it's more of an awareness of the things that you're going to deal with, rather, you see. So and then when you get into the actual space, now you're dealing with the real things. Diaboya mole, mole diaboya, it's like you're a prison warder. Diaboya, you have to, you learn with time. I think what also helps is when you get educators who are strong in a school, right? Because certain schools, like, have control at all over such things. But you find some schools where, now I'm glad to say, in our school, I feel like we've got a bit of control, because you get those strong teachers that will instill discipline and sort of pass that to other teachers. Even if they came weak, they feel like we are protected, we can do this. But then you get to those schools, unfortunately, where as a teacher, there's the only skill you need there is to run and jump the fence.
Because that's all that you can do. Like, I
That's
can't
all
stay
you
in a
can do.
classroom
So
where I see
the skills you need, you have to go to the gym and acquire at the gym.
All right, Mike, as we look forward and we're wrapping up this conversation, do you think, let's look at the curriculum itself. Do you think that the curriculum is, you were talking about entrepreneurship, talking about the market there. Do you think that the curriculum is setting a standard for these young people to be ready for the marketplace and be able to start their own businesses?
Somewhat, KG. I think the theory is adequate, but the practical is not there. I mean, I remember when most of the things that I learned in high school only made sense when I started getting into the workplace.
Yeah.
I mean, you take, for instance, a subject like business studies. I mean, we crammed that subject, and I crammed it to a distinction. I crammed it out.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think what we need, we need more practical in South Africa. We need to, I can say maybe even, the subjects that have, even your accounting does not have enough practical in I believe, really, because we talk of things, these kids talk of an income statement and a balance sheet, right? When you get to the real world and you check the financial statements of a Pick and Pay, and you say, analyze those financial statements, it's like it's something different to them. So we need to expose them to practical things. We need, I'm sure Banaba Bako China men, but Abaruti phone ka theory fela. Surely when they grow up, yeah, I'm sure they go and dismantle it, put it back together, and that way when you do such things, it becomes easier for you and you get familiar with it. The same as what the Afrikaners were doing in the past. I mean, they would put their kids in the farm. A child grows up doing farming there. When they grow up, obviously, they will become an efficient farmer than you and I, who go and study farming in an agriculture school there without any practical knowledge. So we end up, that child who didn't even go to school, who grew up with farming, who did this thing daily, they end up knowing more than me and you see.
Yeah.
So for us as Black people, unfortunately for us as Black people, for the Black child out there, unfortunately, the challenge lies in that the generations that come before them do not have. I think we are the sort of like first or second generation of people that are gaining practical knowledge in work and whatnot and passing. I mean, I expect my child to be a guru in accounting if he wants to go into the accounting field, because I, as a father, will go and teach him accounting in and out and teach him things that. So I expect my child to be a master in accounting. If I was in agriculture, I would expect my child to be a master in agriculture. You see what I mean? So we need that. Marabana Baba no man. Hey, they need prayers, Baba no man. Hey.
They absolutely do. And you know what, Michael? Because of time, unfortunately, we have to cut you off. Thank you so much for sharing your insights and your passion for education. We'll definitely invite you in the future because there's a lot that you have to share with
Definitely, a
us.
lot of
I can tell. Thank you
experiences.
so much, sir, for joining us. Thank you.
Thanks, guys, for having me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes.
Well, it's that the budget cuts have real consequences, and we'll keep shedding light on this issue. For now, let's jump straight into the point of view.
All right.